That ending slapped me in the feels. Yeah, this intro is just so I could feature that meme. Fucking sue me.
No! No! No!
So I watched CODA, and I really liked it. I have a soft spot for coming-of-age films, whether it's Stand By Me, Lady Bird, Dazed and Confused, Juno, Not You. They can capture real struggles teenagers or young adults go through, and can frame them in either a comical, dramatic, cringeworthy, or lighthearted way that's digestible for everyone who has or will eventually go through stages of young adulthood. Whether you're moving away to college, dealing with pregnancy, trying to figure out where you fit in, or going on adventures with your friends. CODA is about a teenage girl named Ruby, who is the only person in her deaf family able to hear. She's pushing on towards her last semester of high school and chooses choir as her elective because a cute boy is taking it. She also just so happens to be excellent at singing. Wow, you got fucking lucky with that one, hun. In the mornings, Ruby helps her family on their fishing boat, and believe me, as someone who's spent many a days getting up at 3 a.m., that shit is not fun. Her family begins to fall on hard times though when the local fishing board decides to impose more fees and sanctions, while the Rossi family barely makes ends meet. Ruby has to balance her family's business, which relies on her because she is their interpreter, while also managing her time with her singing teacher in the hopes of getting into Berklee College of Music. You also get some by-the-books teenage drama like being bullied, the development of a romance, or the slutty best friend trying to fuck the teachers and Ruby's brother. I think this movie really shines though in regards to its focus on Ruby and what she wants in life. This is a coming-of-age tale about a young woman coming into her own, regardless of what forces try to pull her one way or the other. For all you uncultured swine out there, CODA stands for Child of Deaf Adult, but CODA also has a secondary meaning, which is this. Yep, pretty symbolic of the narrative as a whole. Now, CODA is based on the French film called
La Famille Bélier,
following the plot almost to the letter, much like The Departed with Infernal Affairs, or The Magnificent Seven and Seven Samurai. Oh no, that just reminded me, we're supposed to get that American adaptation of Parasite. CODA was also bought by Apple for $25 million. Good buy on their end. I definitely wouldn't have put my money on that, but I'm also not a gambling man. This movie, or should I say the meta around this movie, was that it's a deaf movie, and that's partially right. However, I would argue it's a coming-of-age film that just so happens to have deaf people in it, which I think is a big strength. The movie, rightfully so, brings up a lot of troubles the deaf community must face, especially in regards to making a living, how the deaf community needs to find workarounds to their careers. I really like the actors in this movie. Everyone does just a fine job, but the major players in this film are Emilia Jones, Troy Kotsur, and Marlee Matlin. Emilia has a bright future ahead of her. She comes across as extremely relatable through her performance, from the way her and her brother grill each other to the way she allows her insecurities to get the better of her. Her confliction regarding her responsibilities towards her family versus what she desires is extremely well translated and believable. She really comes up to bat, however, with her talent as a singer. I really like her tone. She reminded me of Ariel in regards to her vocal tone, and her piece at the end was extremely well done. Troy Kotsur also does a fine job. There's subtle nuances with his performance that just sank me into the immersion. Like a scene where the siblings are suggesting they should sell their own fish. A lot of emotions and thoughts are flowing through his head rather than just reacting to the idea. It's nice to see Marlee Matlin in a nominated film again. She was the first Oscar-winning deaf person, paving the way for Troy and hopefully for more deaf actors going forward. The song choices in this movie are pretty good. I liked all the songs in the soundtrack, and I really like Emilia's rendition of Both Sides Now. The actual score wasn't that impressive, but it does deliver in moments when the movie needs to portray conflict or to be emotionally engaging, like when the family is blaming Ruby, or at the very end when she leaves for college. I think this movie has some really funny moments as well due to the writing, and I like the pacing of the film. It hits that Goldilocks zone of not too slow, but it doesn't fly by. It's just right. In terms of filmmaking, however, the movie is incredibly bland. I don't think there are many impressive shots, nor any interesting angles the camera approaches from. The script is also incredibly safe and extremely predictable. YMS summed it up best by saying it's not emotionally or mentally challenging in any way, and it's sappy almost to the point of being a Disney Channel original. You know, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep this here for the rest of the video just to prove his point. I don't think Mr. V's cartoonish nature in this film helped with that. However, there isn't anything particularly wrong with being predictable or satisfying. The Last Jedi, You don't always need to change up the formula or
subvert my expectations
to deliver quality. There's a reason tropes exist in movies. Why the good guy typically gets the girl, why the hero defeats the villain, or why the spunky teenager gets to pursue their dreams. And that's because it's satisfying. But more importantly than moments in films being satisfying just to satisfy, they have to be earned. I feel like this movie earns that due to the captivating nature this movie brings. I personally cared about Maddie and what she wanted through all of this, and I found her family's struggles to be very enlightening. I will say, however, I think this movie misrepresents culture bias against deaf people just a little bit, and apparently I'm not the only one who thinks that. The movie is completely absent of deaf translators, relying on the CODA or Ruby to be the sole translator for her family for particularly everything. The movie is intentionally vague on when it takes place, whether it's now, a year ago, or 5 years ago, but Tinder exists, so it must be fairly recent. The idea that the US's culture is completely ableist towards deaf people is a lie, and I don't like being lied to. I am not saying any of this to belittle any issues or hardships the deaf community faces, not by any means. I have no idea what it's like to be deaf, nor the true hardships they must face. However, the misrepresentation of the ADA by the film is blatant emotional manipulation, and I don't like being emotionally manipulated. I've already been through enough, goddammit. Perhaps I missed the line, but how did Frank know about the Berkeley audition? He woke Ruby up as a surprise, so it'd be nice if that information was translated to the audience as to how he knew the date and time of the audition. Maybe in this scene, or this scene. The fishing stress regarding the family just gets resolved. They hire a hearing individual to help them since Ruby won't be there, but how did they pay for him since they're short on money as it is? Maybe they used some of Ruby's scholarship money, but that's awfully shitty. I'm gonna assume that's not the case. It just seems like it gets resolved super quick as the plot decided to focus more on Ruby singing. Now, hear me out on this one. I think it's a bit contrived Ruby just so happens to join choir and be excellent at singing. Now, hold on, I get it. This is like the idea of, is it a coincidence that Batman is Bruce Wayne? I'm gonna throw this tag up on the screen before any of you start steaming, but take this context for example. What are the odds she picks an elective she's shockingly excellent at, without that being the driving force for her decision? She didn't pick choir driven by the desire to want to pursue singing. She chose it because a boy she thought was cute ended up joining. Just ponder on that thought a bit. After finishing this movie, I was bombarded with the big question of, why did this win Best Picture? And in short, it's because representation of the deaf community is important, and the Academy wanted to make a statement. Which, on surface level, I don't disagree with. Not everybody can make a good story, but a good story can come from anywhere, even a deaf family from a fishing town in Massachusetts. Or the French. Is this the best of the Best Picture nominees? I don't honestly know. I haven't seen all the nominations, so I won't sit here and pretend this award is unearned. But at least this pandering cringe didn't win. It's an extremely satisfying movie, even if it borders on sappy and maudlin. Its predictable nature can be annoying, however that's very subjective and holds little weight in regards to the overall quality of the film. So yeah, go watch CODA on Apple TV. I hope you enjoy it as I did, and I will see y'all next time. Or not, I don't care.